The Square Ball Podcast.
Oh, well, good evening and welcome to this unexpected show here on the Square Ball Podcast. Just Dan and Michael with you tonight. Right, it's 18 minutes to the deadline. And what a deadline it's been.
It was all looking so good, wasn't it? We recorded our podcast this morning and Phil came in after the...
we did 4 podcasts.
After the press conference. That's all gone in the bin. Well, I think you've tried to salvage some of it, haven't you? But yeah, at that stage, Jen was on his way. James was on his way out. No dramas expected. The flight was booked, wasn't it? We were just waiting for him to board a private jet. And no.
Well, I mean, I went to bed last night looking forward to waking up and finding out that Gakpo had flown in and it was all going to be sorted and lots of fun. When we woke up, I thought, oh, great, what a great signing that is. And now here we are.
So it was like, well, it's not Gakpo, but we are getting a striker. So, okay, that is something, I suppose.
Yeah, people asking, where's Angus? I think there's a club, isn't he? He's got business to be doing, probably.
I hope he is busy.
Yes. He is welcome once he's finishing work, I think, in the next sort of 15 minutes to an hour. Just pop round.
I suspect he's had a busy enough day. Yeah. I'm not sure he'd fancy it.
He's always welcome. He can tell us about the warm bodies that they've either got or not got.
I think what they wouldn't give for a warm body now.
So right, what time did you go to bed last night?
I don't know, probably half 12.
So you were fully aware of like the Gakpo stuff going on. When you went to bed last night, what did you think?
I always thought that felt like a bit of a long shot.
Right.
Just because we've been interested in him for ages, haven't we? And it's not happened. So why would it happen now? Was my thinking. And I always think the worst as well.
Yeah, you are.
I think the worst, but I didn't think this had happened. To be fair, so.
For regular viewers, listeners, yes, Michael is ridiculously pessimistic. Just realised I need to put my phone on silent, by the way. Thank you to everybody who's joined us on YouTube. We are live streaming here for the deadline, which is in 15 minutes. It's exciting because in the real world, the deadline will pass just a few seconds before we get it. It's like New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Dan James is 4-1 to stay at Leeds, says Will. Fabrizio Romano is still saying Leeds are trying to do something, and they've got 15 minutes to...
I mean, there's really not time to do anything, is there?
Not really.
Because if you're signing someone now, you're surely doing it without a medical. Or can you do a medical afterwards and bail on it? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like that's what Diang's done. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's that is the alternative universe, I suppose, in that it's kind of all right that didn't go through because he would have failed a medical anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe it would have...
It's Mickey Croissants all over again, isn't it? Pastry legs.
Although we got Rafinha then. So does that mean we're signing the next Rafinha soon?
People are saying that Fabrizio is also live streaming at the minute. Don't make me choose. You can do them both if you want.
Listen, if you want proper knowledge of the football transfer market, here is the place.
Just been tweeted by Ian Sweets, who's asking, where's our yellow ties? We don't own ties, do we?
I think I probably do. I've not worn one I suppose I've worn one to a wedding.
I am wearing jeans and sandals here because we just down tools and came out of the house. And I sat at home trying to bloody edit the Phil Hayes show because we recorded all that assuming that what's-his-face was going to come, Dieng, and then that's all just absolutely collapsed. Totally leads it in. So I've been sorting that out and just dropped everything, come out of the house. I'm relying on my kids putting themselves to bed in about 15 minutes. That'll be fine, won't it?
They'll be fine. I did go past Ellen Road. I drove down to have a look, see if there were any...
How was it with the lights on?
There was some lights on. There was a hopeful-looking camera crew outside. But no. And a couple of other people sat in cars as well. I think probably doing what I was doing. I wouldn't go and do it if we weren't doing this, but as I was passing, I thought, let's just drive down there just on the off chance that someone is Martin Brathwaite or someone is limping into the reception ready to sign. But no, there didn't seem to be anything, although the boardroom curtains are shut.
Yeah, but there's somebody stalking around in there. No, loads of people asking about Daniel Sturridge. No word on that yet. Maybe that's the one that could sneak in, just get it in. You have to fill out a deal sheet or something, don't you, to get this registered in time.
Although Daniel Sturridge is a free, so I think technically we could sign him after the deadline.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that one's still on.
A word of sympathy, if we could, for Dan James in all this.
I almost feel bad now.
All right.
Well, because I thought... I was sort of relatively happy he was leaving earlier today. I thought, oh, well, I didn't think he was a massive loss. And maybe he's still not. I suppose it boils down to it. I don't think he's that good. Is the honest my honest opinion on him. However,
is he better than no one? That's the question.
Yeah, which is the alternative, isn't it? So, well, I suppose the alternative is maybe Somerville or Perkins or Joseph or someone who would maybe fill that space. And maybe it's a good opportunity for them, as I'm sure the club will be spinning in the near future. If we fail to sign anyone in the next 15 minutes, they'll be saying, well, these are when opportunities can present themselves on the pathway. We're very confident in our recruitment. The under-21s are performing very well, etc., etc.
Well, just to ramp up the tension, it's 13 minutes to the deadline right now.
Right.
So
it's feeling like
time is running out. Yeah, Fabrizio is saying that Dan James' medical completed. As new Fulham player deal agreed, but Leeds working on a new signing after the Dieng story.
I mean, there were some links with Diaz.
Is that the new Matteo Joseph? No,
was that?
Is it the new Matteo Joseph because we signed him last January, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, we did. But yeah, there was Brereton Diaz was being linked by someone, but it feels like if we get anyone we get now, it genuinely is just a warm body.
Yeah. But we don't do that, so we probably won't get anyone, will we?
No. But why are we scrambling around everyone?
I'm just wondering, can we fill time here as effortlessly as the people on Sky Sports News?
I do have Sky Sports News broadcasting just at the side of me here.
Let's get some ideas,
just to see if there's any. I'm hoping them to go live to the East Stand at some point, and we can have a look at that.
It's really going to mess with our heads if we get a left back now, isn't it? After all this. Would you like Cody Gakpo? Because he looks quite good, doesn't he? I mean, admittedly, our scouting is all done on YouTube.
I mean, from YouTube, but all the players we're linked with look good on YouTube, don't they?
Well, what about Bamba Dieng? Did you want him?
Yep, wanted him too.
Why did you want him?
Running round, tackling, scoring goals, all that sort of stuff.
Biscuit legs, though. He's got biscuit legs, so...
Do we know what he's failed it on?
I don't know. No, it just seems to have emerged as we were driving in. So if you are in the YouTube comments, make it up. Tell us what it is exactly that Bamba Dieng has failed his medical for. Might be lack of moral fibre. I was going to say, is it really mean of me to be kind of pleased?
No,
not at all. It's just one of those things like if a player leaves you or does the dirty on you, you wish them nothing but ill will.
It's like when Willem Causton went to Spurs and then his career ended shortly afterwards, and I thought, fucking good.
Are you hoping for that for Bamba Dieng? Honestly, because we were just wrapping up the Phil Hay show, recording it earlier on, weren't we? And that's when it started to filter through that maybe Nice had were having a little go at getting Dieng.
I'm sure, didn't I say, you'll have been editing it, so you'll have heard, didn't I say something along the lines of, to Phil, haven't you learnt not to take things for granted in a Dan James Leeds transfer window?
Yeah, I've left that in.
Or something along those lines. And we were like, no, I think this all looks fine.
Someone's suggesting that he might have snapped his banjo string. It's James there who's...
It can, that can, a bit like, I think that'll go down as an abdominal injury, like Eddie Nketiah's twisted bollocks did.
Some smelly feet as well. And Raj is having a good laugh at Willem Causton, still enjoying it all these years later on. If you're not old enough to remember that, it was a player who came to us on loan. He was from Holland. And
yes, he was.
Netherlands.
Yeah, George Graham nicked him, basically. I think it was George Graham, yeah.
Yeah, because George Graham obviously did the dirty on us, went to Spurs and then pinched Willem Causton, who got injured.
Oh, that's... I just realised, thankfully, I've misspelled his name, because the first thing that comes up is Willem Causton, deceased. It's a different person. That's not Willem Causton. I
was going to say good, but
still alive.
Alex is suggesting he stepped on Lego. Adam, I don't know if this is libelous. No, it's not if you say it's humorous, is it? Victor Orta spiked his urine sample on the way back when they were in the airport. I do wonder as well, can you imagine that flight back for Victor, both last night, well, this morning, sorry, wasn't it? First thing, I'm losing track of all the days. Victor Orta on the flight back from the Netherlands first thing this morning. Then he's right, we've got another sniff at something, south of France. So he's flown all the way down towards Marseille, Nice.
Did he go there as well then?
I like to think he did.
We've spent a lot, haven't we, on nothing. Think
of the air miles though.
Yeah, I don't think you get them on a private jet. I think you just get to give them £100,000 for nothing.
Yeah, it's an expensive old do. Is the football, isn't it? And I wonder what that second flight was like coming back, assuming that Victor did come back, leaving Dieng behind.
Oh, sad.
In the terminal. It's like a Hollywood movie. It's been like a Hollywood movie. It's been like a soap opera today, hasn't it? It's 9 minutes to the deadline, by the way, which is exciting.
Who's this? Someone's at Fulham on Sky Sports. I guess. Can we once again see a sobbing Dan James in the background? I mean, if we can pull the plug on the Dan James thing, should we? Or do we let him go anyway out of human decency? To just be like, well, it's kind of awkward for you to come back, and we sort of didn't want you.
I do. I mean, we said earlier on, didn't we? I do wonder how he has reacted to all this. He must feel like he has massively had the dirty done on him, like to be part of pre-season and part of the squad, and suddenly, Dan, sorry about this. Listen, we're going to ship you out to somebody who's just come up.
It feels like we've seen Sinistera in a couple of games and gone, yeah, just play him instead. Don't need him anymore.
Sky are suggesting that the deal at Nice for Dieng can be resurrected.
Okay.
By the way,
the deal or him?
Hopefully not him. If it's that serious, I hope not. But I mean, who cares? He's done the dirty on us, hasn't he? It's going wild here in the comments on Sky. Not a deal breaker. I hope it is a deal breaker. Someone saying it's Carlos Vinicius at Fulham.
Yeah.
Do you know much about him, or are you just going to quickly Wikipedia him there?
I'm not even going to do that. I can't be bothered. Why is everyone else? Why have Nottingham Forest signed every player, and we've not signed any?
That's hard, isn't it?
I do hope they go down though, having signed all these players.
So apparently, James is saying that Fabrizio's still saying that we're working on a signing. We've got to do it quick. 7 minutes now until the Sam is suggesting we should go to bed, lads.
Well, it's an option. We will soon. Someone, Thomas Needham in the comments saying Brereton Diaz done. Doesn't say to who. Maybe. I guess not us.
Oh, he's dropped into 4-1. Let's have a look. It's funny. What we're essentially doing is just reading Twitter out here.
Julian Joachim coming back. There you go. Well, I think it's just a way of filling the time, because otherwise I was just refreshing Twitter anyway. So
yeah, that's all I was doing.
Might as well just come in and see what's going on. The fella on Sky Sports News looks a bit like me without glasses on, which is a bit concerning. Damesh something he's called. Damesh Seth, is that what his name is? Yeah. So if you want to watch us in split screen, it'd be maybe slightly confusing for you. Just thinking,
what have you got a favourite? Just as we're filling time towards the 11 o'clock big moment, like waiting for New Year's Eve, isn't it? When you got Robbie Williams doing songs on the telly, and you're not really that arsed. You just want to see Big Ben and the fireworks. Favourite transfer deadlines of the past? Don't go to bed just yet. Obviously, a high watermark. Do you think this one passes it? Actually,
I don't know. You sort of expected days like that from Leeds United at that time, because everything was madness, wasn't it? It was not long after, Chileno being chased around a car park and all that. Ross McCormack ringing Sky Sports News. That was the same day, wasn't it? In fact, I lose track, or maybe it was a different window. I can't remember anymore. But that sort of stuff used to happen all the time. Like Vern Troyer would be at a game and just mad shit happened. Whereas you sort of hoped maybe we were a bit more professional now. And as it is, it's
I would love to know, and I guess we will find out in due course, what the club's official take on this is.
It's hard for them to spin this one. I mean, Radrizzani, he did the initial tweet, didn't he, welcoming someone to the club.
Because a few people, I tweeted earlier on from the Square Ball account, just saying, look, this is just a means of attracting flack for yourself in the future.
Yeah.
Not realising that he would prove the point only a matter of hours later. Well, don't do it to yourself.
It's this year's Forshaw tweet, isn't it? Essentially, whenever anything goes wrong, people are going to quote tweet that back at him, and he's going to have to just live with it. Yeah, I think the week would have been made a lot better if they'd just not bothered with the programme notes and then not bothered with Twitter today. It would have been a much more straightforward process.
And just let the action do the talking, or lack of.
It could have been seen. I mean, letting Dan James go is the thing, isn't it, though? Because that is essentially us freeing up money to bring someone in at the last minute. And I think that sends out a slightly dodgy signal, because not long ago we had 40 million to spend on a player, then we were getting Gakpo for a load of money, and then all of a sudden we were trying to get rid of someone before we could bring in someone for 10 million. I think it's not a great look.
Yeah, it does smack of getting somebody off the wage bill, doesn't it? Because you would otherwise keep Dan James, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I don't particularly rate him, as someone just to have as an option, like if you get a couple of injuries or whatever, it would be perfectly acceptable to to just have someone like that on the bench.
Jack is just in the comments on YouTube asking, can he not get 10% off his legal fees tonight? You can.
You still can.
LeviSolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Great bunch of lads and lasses. We'll do it. It's just that we have a deal with them for certain shows. This wasn't one of them, but I don't care.
Nah, they can have it.
Yeah.
If anyone in the comments wants to sponsor this one, taking bids
in exchange for free stuff.
Right, how long's left? A few minutes.
3 minutes. That's exciting, isn't it? Onrad's tweeting. What was your initial reaction to that?
Same as it always is.
Stop.
Just don't.
Yeah.
Delete your account. Well, don't. No, in fact, don't even bother having an account, because it just gives a place for people to direct stuff to. Just have an account that just is like John 07434444. Like one of the Russian burner account types. Just have one of them as a no profile picture. Just something you can go on and have a look at stuff. If you want to read things, fine, you can do that. But don't tweet. Don't
need to do it. Talk to me about Hwang, because obviously he was one of the early targets, and then his name came up again as one of the names that Leeds were going in for. Second time around, would you have fancied it when things had all gone tits up with everybody else?
I didn't really want him in the first place, I have to say. But would I have swapped if it was I know this isn't how the finances of it would have worked, but if they'd have said we can swap him for Dan James, I think he would have been probably a position we needed covering more than Dan James. So I would have sort of accepted that, I suppose. I mean, all of this is assuming Dan James had to leave.
Did he?
Don't know. It seems so. I don't get the impression anyone hates him.
2 minutes, by the way.
So I don't see why they would be forcing him out just for a laugh.
Somebody from the Football Italia Twitter account is saying that Willie Noto to Leeds United pending work permit.
Are the work permit people open at this time?
But yeah, they might keep extra hours.
Bear in mind, Everton couldn't get Neil Mopé registered because it was a bank holiday. I think asking for people to do it.
1 minute, Michael. I felt like we should have the countdown clock ready or something like that. Sorry, I thought you were having a stroke then or something.
No, it's a ticking clock.
Oh, okay, sorry. I do have do you know what? I've got it. I've got the countdown theme. Shall I? Oh no, because we'll have to pay royalties, and I don't think we get pulled. We'd lose monetization on the stream, so we can't do that. We could sing it maybe.
Don't get us banned. Yeah, what was we saying? Oh, Hwang. Yeah, that was it. It's hard to get excited about him because he doesn't really score any goals, does he?
No.
And I know there was.
Oh, hang on a second. Our boy Phil Hay has just tweeted to say Daniel James deal is off.
Okay,
but that was 2 years ago.
Hey,
there we go. Yeah. So no word on that yet. I do wonder what's happening with that because the window is slamming shut in about. Let's have a look. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slam shut. That probably happened for you a few seconds ago because there's a very slight delay on the stream. So the window is shut. Is
Dan James half in, half out?
He's trapped.
Is he? If we cut him in half?
How was the window for you? Did you feel?
It was exhilarating. I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. What an experience! Someone's suggesting we should ring that.
Ring the bell. The passing of the window.
Of
there we go. First actual proper good use for the bell there, really, isn't it? Yeah. How's it been as a window? Like genuinely, what do you reckon to it?
I mean, we're going to do an extra ball next week on it, aren't we? Breaking down the actual individual plays and stuff. I feel like overall it was actually going pretty well until people started talking.
Yeah,
that was really the main fault of this. If they'd have just said, if they'd have stuck with the story and said we're happy with the squad and not tried to buy anyone and not tried to sell anyone, then I think they'd have got away with it. But as it is, they said we're only going to sign players we think are absolutely brilliant, and then didn't, and then sold one, and the whole thing just looks now like a farce, and like they actually did want and need some players at the last minute.
Just looking at the tweets that were going out 2 minutes to the deadline just there, TalkSport were reporting that we were after Ben Brereton Diaz, which would be, I don't know, would you want him now at this stage? It's like swanning around the nightclub 5 minutes before closing.
Yeah, it really is.
You've got ketchup stains on your shirt. You're just looking for the last antelope at the back of the pack.
And if Dan James comes back now, that's like going back to an ex. It's like, he'll do. is how it's going to feel when he comes back through the door. It's like, well, couldn't find anything else. So, yeah, you're going on the bench.
Oh, do we have to stay for the old deal sheet nonsense? I'm just looking at the tweets from the Premier League. They're tweeting, the summer transfer window is now closed. That happened 2 minutes ago. The clubs can still complete moves after 11 o'clock if they have submitted a deal sheet before the deadline. So we're into the deal sheet overtime now.
Have you, what's on the deal sheets?
There's actually a picture of it. Shall I read it out just to fill some time?
Fine. Is it like an intention to buy? You can still pull out at this stage or something, I assume.
Really? It says, this form does not constitute a legally binding contract. Clubs and players are required to comply with all relevant rules and regulations of the FA, the Premier League and FIFA, which relate to players' transfers and contracts. We, the undersigned, declare the negotiations for the transfer/loan of player from transferor club to transferee club have concluded prior to the blah, 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 blah. The fee payable is to be paid as follows. Guaranteed sums, contingent payments. So it's basically an IOU. It's like a post-it note.
Yeah, like a Ken Bates administration, Yorkshire Radio debt. Just scribbled down at the last minute. Phil Hay tweeting.
No comment from Leeds about this, but various sources indicating they might have found a way to do Wilfred Noto from Zurich. Waiting to see.
Nonto, you always ignore his second name.
Has he got a double N?
So Nonto.
No,
Nonto.
My apologies. I was reading it as Noto. Okay, well.
So if we've gone back in for him at 11:15 on the final day, potentially having been linked with him all summer.
That's a very warm body, isn't it?
I feel like this is part of the problem as well. Like, we've been linked with Gakpo all summer, more or less, or certainly for months. We've been linked with Nonto for months, and then it gets the last few minutes and it's still going on.
Yeah.
Why?
Another important deadline is coming up, and that's Barcelona paying us some money. Wonder if they've held on because those little skinflints have welched on the deal for Rafinha. Can we have him back?
The deal we agreed to. Couldn't we have just done a better deal? Right, hang on.
Fabrizio's tweeting again. Let's see what Fabrizio's saying. God, this live streaming's hard, isn't it, when there's only two of you and you've got no set agenda? It's wild. What's he saying? Leeds are set to sign him from Zurich. Deal almost done, just waiting for work permit, then it will be final signing here. We just need that work permit application to fail now, don't we?
That's the thing.
But because he's got his cap, he should pass the points test.
Yeah, no, who was it? Clivert the other day wasn't allowed to sign somewhere, was he? Probably Forest, because he didn't have the enough points or something. I mean, I quite like the look of Nonto, but
Marsh was very clear the other day, though, saying he's one for the future, not Premier League ready. Whereas Dan James is Premier League ready, and we're swapping one for the other.
Well, if we might be keeping Dan James, maybe it's not confirmed, is it? So. Should probably check Fulham's website at some point. They're going to have a picture of his little grinning face.
I would love to know at what time of day the shirt holding photos were taken, and was he sat there, twiddling his thumbs, just waiting for the deal to go through as it was. It wasn't 2 years ago. Was it 3 years ago now? 2019, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I ruined my own joke earlier on. I'm just looking at any other big deals that have gone through. Nothing really, is there today?
Chelsea are getting Aubameyang by the looks of it. They're not getting the 10 quality players that Rory wanted.
Yeah. Don't promote the Chelsea simpleton. That's all I would suggest.
Yeah, still nothing on the Fulham website about.
All right. I'm just on the Athletics live blog saying that we did explore a possible deal for Ben Brereton Diaz late on in the window. Showed an interest, but no fee. They wanted 15 to 20 million, and we were just not willing to pay it. Didn't have it. Would you describe Ben Brereton Diaz as like a proper, I don't know, generational talent that they seem to be building up, or would he have been a warm body? He'd have been a warm body, yeah. I think, and I'm not sure he would have necessarily been any good at all. I don't know. He might be able to transfer it, but he's been around for quite a long time in the Championship, and it's only since he grew a beard and became Chilean that anyone seems to have really noticed him. So I'm a bit suspicious of him. Wolves have signed Alfie Pond from Exeter for £500,000. They've got a defender. That's like a proper champ manager signing, is Alfie Pond. It's good, isn't it? I don't know why it's. You can probably write your own punchline for that. There's not a huge amount that's happened late on, actually. It just seems to be sort of people moving out peripheral players. It's almost like that you want to get your business done early.
to go back to the transfer window as a whole, yeah, it was going well. I was relatively pleased with it, and I think we got key players in early, which was really important. And you can see, I think it has benefited us having people like Adams and Aronson nicely settled in and they've hit the ground running. And since then,
yeah, it's it feels like it's got a bit loose, hasn't it? The old transfer window towards the end, because I think Leeds are very keen to convey the impression that it's all in control and they know exactly what they're doing. But some of that late activity, if the reports there are correct, don't suggest that it was completely in control.
No, Nonto though, seems like it might be happening. Loads of people seem to be mentioning it, so I'm going to go on that. That means it's definitely happening.
I haven't actually watched the YouTube videos of him, so
haven't you?
Talk me through his style.
I mean, it was ages ago, to be honest. I'm probably going to be blended in with about another 8 players that we've tried to sign since. I remember he looked quite good. I mean, he's played for Italy, as in like the proper first team.
Yeah.
So he must be all right, mustn't
he? You'd expect so.
Or is he like an Italian David Nugent or something who's just going to get a single cap? And Michael Ricketts, international number 9s.
This is true. Strange move as well. You've seen that just on the peripheral characters front. Liam McCarron, who went to Stoke in the summer, has joined Port Vale on loan. It's a bit like crossing the streams on Ghostbusters, isn't it? That.
Yeah, it's not. I didn't think that those two would do business together. Didn't they got on properly?
No. But yeah. So overall, going back to the chat we had, 4 caps says Size in the comments.
There you go.
Which ain't bad. Somebody better than nobody. But yeah, so I mean, Brendan Aronson, and it has felt like, actually, just going back to Brendan Aronson, this window's dragged on forever. We were talking about that today, weren't we? Like with Phil saying, 3.5 months this has gone on, because we announced Aronson straight off the back of the Brentford game previously, and then Christensen followed, and Rocker, JB, Adams, and Sinistera in that order. So they've all been kind of spaced out, and then it's all kicked into this sort of late window stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, just think, if we'd got proper fees for Phillips and Rafinha, we might have been able to stretch to another striker today. Like,
I mean, it's the Leicester model, isn't it? Are we going to talk about the Leicester model, given they're bottom of the league?
How did they go on tonight against them?
1-0.
Was it?
Yeah, bottom 1 point so far.
Do you think they'll sack Brendan Rodgers?
He looks a bit sad. I won't be surprised if they do. If they do.
Yeah,
I think they've got away with just selling one player today, though, haven't they? Because was it today or yesterday? They've Chelsea paid 70 odd million, haven't they? For,
loads of people pointing out that we've got Cock and Willie in the same squad now.
Yes, that is true.
That is excellent. Leicester model, yeah. I do wonder. We've said before, I wonder how long that will be tolerated at Leeds, especially if it feels like let's say it's felt like a bit erratic as the close of this window, hasn't it? That clearly they've got to a point with Rodrigo's injury where they've decided to go out and get somebody or get something over the line. Like this one, Nonto, sounds like it's been done in a hurry to get someone in rather than no one.
I mean, with Nonto, they can spin it as... Well, it's not necessarily spin. They can say, here's someone we've been interested in for a long time. We've wanted him. You look like you're reading something important. No. It looks like
I'm listening.
It's someone that we have been after. We maybe rushed it through because of circumstance, but someone we would have been interested in anyway. So we'd have got him eventually, etc., etc. So, but they can say that it's different than if we're getting someone out completely out of the blue, I suppose, is what I'm saying. It's easy enough for them to explain it away.
Yeah, Cock and Willie doing penis ball and so on. Still no word on Dan James yet. I don't see word on Dan James.
No. This you must just feel like this is what Leeds United have done to him for forever. He's just destined to be...
It's like an abusive relationship almost, isn't it, Bob?
To be held in a room waiting for Leeds United or someone to confirm it. Bless him. Didn't have him long, did we? Have we ever signed a player for so much money and got rid so quickly?
I think was it Livermore? Not that we signed and sold?
Well, yeah. I mean, he was not much money, was he? But yeah, he was. I saw his one and only game, actually, a friendly at Hartlepool. For some reason, I went to that.
Was he man of the match?
Such a performance! Such a great performance for him.
Do we want to stay on air for any further developments? Or?
I kind of want to know what's happening with Dan James.
Yeah,
I feel like it's unfair to leave him hanging. Just when he's he's in between clubs, isn't he, at the minute?
It has been asked whether we're doing a Swansea. Is the shoe on the other foot now?
Quite possibly.
It has been pointed out by some people who suggest that that James has been confirmed. Sky Sports is confirming it.
Okay.
We had Sky Sports on next year.
Well, I've not got any sound on. They might just be talking about it. They've not shown his little sad face on the screen yet.
And Ryan Kent hasn't come through, obviously, once again.
Ryan Kent. There we go. Gary Hooper.
Is it time just to sign Ryan Kent, though, in one of the windows, just so he can stop being linked with him? I don't care if we ever play him.
I noticed Roof was trending on Twitter earlier. He wasn't being linked with us, though. It was something else.
Same one, Kamal Roof.
Yeah, it was the Roof. But yeah, he's coming back from injury or something. I think he's basically permanently injured, and the Rangers board are pretending that he's not. They're saying like, well, when him and about 4 other players are fit, we're going to have a really strong squad. But until then, maybe
Leeds have gone out and got a new kettle following government advice today for the transfer deadline.
Couldn't get Charlie Kettle, etc.
Yes, De Kettler, they got the wires crossed and went and got him. I feel like we are Sky Sports padding though, so potentially we could bring this to a close. But are you wanting desperately? Because I mean, you're going to have to start talking more about winging it like Sky Sports do. It's actually a lot harder than you realise, isn't it? Talking non-stop.
I think particularly when you've got very little enthusiasm for most of the things going on. I think that's my problem.
Why have we been dragged back? We've actually got to re-record the start of the Phil Hay show after this, haven't we?
I know, but I basically just want to hear what's happened to Dan James. Just tell me. I can sort of take or leave everything else. If you were offered Dan James or a striker who you've never seen play, who would you take at the moment?
Dan James.
Would you?
Yeah.
It's probably the sensible option.
Yeah. I know he's not a striker. He hates it, and he was deployed wrongly in that position for a long time, but he's a known...
Bring him back so he can do it again.
He's a known quantity, isn't he? He's a known quantity.
Is it good being known for something you're bad at, though? Which is Dan James playing a striker.
Yeah, but he's of a level, isn't he? He's of a Premier League level. It might not be the highest...
As a striker?
Yeah, no, but he can play, can't he? He can play football.
I don't think he's anything like the level of a Premier League striker. As a striker, it's fair to say. Maybe as a winger, he's all right. But I've never, ever liked him up front.
Katie's asking us to bemoan everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. I don't think I can bemoan what's happened in the last 24 hours. It's been hugely entertaining, and not always in a good way. It's been very Leeds. Yeah.
I've tried not to get too upset by it. I'm sort of trying to laugh it off to a large extent. Because it's not real, is it? It's not serious. It's just loads of millionaires moving around on private jets, and sometimes you get one. Sometimes they want to go somewhere else. Sometimes their legs are broken and they can't even sign for who they wanted to. Yeah. We were saying earlier today, actually, what a weird life it is as a footballer. That you just wake up on transfer deadline day and someone's like, "Oh, you're moving to England." And you're like, "Oh, am I? Okay, nice one. Am I just have we got somewhere to stay?" They're like, "Yeah, it's all going to be sorted. Just turn up. It's fine. You just need to smile with a shirt, and then we'll show you where you need to be the next day for training and whatnot." It's a weird experience.
Keith Downey, who's one of the reporters for Sky Sports, actually has just tweeted to say that he feels like Leeds have dodged a bullet with Bamba Dieng. He's been pushed on Newcastle the last 2 to 3 deadline days, because I think Keith Downey, he is the North East reporter, isn't he, for Sky? But to no avail. Finally gets a move to the Premier League with Leeds today, but chooses Nice instead, and fails to board his private flight, then fails his medical. I
mean, we've kind of been here before, haven't we, with Mickey Croissants that failed, and then I guess the last ditch signing of somewhat of a promising youngster, Jean-Kevin Augustin, which turned out to be pretty disastrous.
I'm not sure I've heard of that young man.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying, when was the last time we signed someone for a lot of money, and then he left? It would be him, I suppose. Except we've not paid for him. As it is.
This just made me feel bad. Lee Andrew is in the comments saying he's so tiny and sad.
Dan James is, I know. Moscow, I was talking about him earlier, and to make me feel bad, Moscow showed me a video of Dan James meeting his puppy. He received a puppy as a birthday present. He
was made up. He was stroking its ears and everything, wasn't he?
He was so pleased with it. And now I think of that same little face.
But to go back to the last 24 hours, yeah, it has felt shambolic, but I don't know. It's felt like a fitting. It's felt like, I don't know, a comfy pair of slippers.
The Leeds United you fell in love with.
Yeah, Yeah.
A bag of shit.
Just, I mean, but how do you think like what's happened today kind of reflects on just the general like approach, the program notes, all that sort of stuff? Has it kind of just made it all look stupid?
It has really. Because the thing is, we've met Angus a few times, and I think he's quite nice. He's quite a nice bloke in real life. Then I read his program notes, and I think he just comes across as a dick in him. Like, well, the stuff like the other day, these the ones the other day anyway. I don't generally see him, to be fair, unless there's something controversial in him. No one really cares, do they? But I don't feel like it's the same. I don't feel like he's like that, other than when he's writing his program notes, weirdly. And I just think, well, don't do that. And he doesn't strike me as an idiot either, so I don't know why he would do it.
Maybe it's just a bit of fun that he gets to have. And I say it's different sat in your office, tapping away at your keyboard, you know, trying to think, I'll make these, you know, entertaining or whatever, and it just comes across really badly. Maybe it's just his blind spot with stuff like that. Maybe he enjoys it. Maybe he enjoys the backlash. I don't know.
And I suppose compared to where we have been, it depends whether you're going to compare it always to, you know, the very best things in the world and the Ken Bates era, Cellino era, GFH era, which is always going to be better than that because, you know, at the end of the day, we're disappointed we've not signed a player for 40 million euros today, which I don't think was on the cards particularly in the Gwyn Williams time of him finding Mika Varanen on a free and Ramon Nunes on a free, and these kind of players arriving, and you had to go, well, I don't know, maybe they'll be all right. Probably not, given no one else wants them, and we're trying to get away with paying them nothing. So,
what do you reckon to like the overall transfer approach? And I think I've referred to it before on the shows as like the shoot for the moon type signings that like Gakpo, the Kettler, that kind of thing. We never seem to go just for the what you might term the warm bodies, just the solid, obvious signings. Like Brereton Diaz, if we have genuinely explored a deal for him, if there was a willingness there, you think they might have found a way to get that done.
Yeah, for the money, maybe they just don't think he's good enough.
Yeah,
and I mean that.
But then why go for him? Then that runs counter to what Angus was saying in the program notes.
Well, yeah, it does. It does.
That's why I was kind of asking the question.
Yeah, that would have been what it's basically. If you're saying we'll have him for like 10 mil if he's available, because he can probably do half a job for us, and then we'll sell him on in a year's time for about the same.
And returning to like the ownership and the wages aspect of it, do you think we're skint in your opinion, or finances are about as stretched as they can be? I don't want to say skint because that's probably unfair.
I think we're probably run in a very tight way in terms of not really wanting to gamble on stuff. Which the problem with Premier League football is that everyone expects their owners to just chuck endless money at it. No one ever seems to make any money, do they? It's just successful teams have money pumped in all the time. Like the people who are acting in the transfer window, people like Chelsea, Man City, Newcastle, people who have got money just arriving in Forest, who have obviously gone absolutely wild in this window. I mean, it's not like we're not spending anything, but I suppose you can look at the Phillips and the Rafinha exits, and it doesn't feel like there's been a huge investment. It feels like we've spent what's come in. And I know wage bill will have increased and all that sort of stuff, but it just feels, I suppose it feels a bit tame and a bit safe.
It feels risk averse. That's the point I put to Angus Kinnear when we spoke, actually.
And it feels like all of our incoming transfers, we've spread out the cost over the 4 years or whatever, which you can do. Whereas when we were trying to sell players, part of the deal, we seem to want all of the money up front, which that sort of stuff does worry me a bit, because it's like, well, hang on, why are we spreading ours out, but we need all that money straight away?
A question on that then, Ryan Madden in the comments asking, do you really want a panic buy? I like that they went for good players. Yeah, I think you're misunderstanding, Ryan. I think I really like that they went for good players. But if they're not available, or you keep going for these good players of this particular level and you can't secure them, maybe you just need to reassess a little bit and look maybe slightly lower down the food chain to make sure you've got enough bodies in there, warm bodies. And the fact that they have apparently looked at the likes of Brereton Diaz, then the sort of targets we're talking about in that ballpark figure, suggests that they will do it as well. But it just seems to have been done in a sort of panicky, rushed way towards the end of the window, when you could have maybe looked for players in that ballpark a little bit sooner.
And in fairness, we've not that sort of a signing, it doesn't feel very much our approach. Other than the first season of coming up, when there was talk of us signing the cream of the championship, or however it was phrased, and then we didn't because we realised it was really expensive to do that. So instead we went for Rodrigo and Koch and Llorente and people like that instead. Have we signed anyone from the English leagues? I'm trying to think, other than Dan James.
No. It tends to be an expensive old do, though, doesn't it? Because it's been pointed out, Biggie's saying here, Brereton for 20 million when he's out of contract next summer, and unwilling to sign a new one would have been daft. I agree with that.
Is he out of contract next summer?
Yeah, well, I think they had a right to extend him by a year, and that was this year, wasn't it?
Right.
So I agree, we don't want to be paying 20 million or 15 million for him under those circumstances, not at all. But this is the problem with getting this late in the window and becoming then, I guess, a stressed buyer when you start panicking around.
There's the whole thing as well, which you can always tip it too far in one direction. But the thing of, well, you either spend X amount now or you get relegated, and that costs you X amount. It's like, yeah, but I suppose there's always got to be somewhere. There's got to be a point in the middle where you think what we've got is enough to probably be all right.
Yeah,
and we don't want to just waste money because it will stop us. We're not Newcastle or Man City. We can't afford to make 4 or 5 bad signings and for them to just go, oh well, fine, just scrap it, it's fine, we'll move on, we'll sign someone else. We're kind of, as probably truthfully as has been shown with Rodrigo, you're sort of stuck with them for a bit. If you spent that much money on a player, you've really got to try and make it work for quite a long time, even if maybe a lot of other teams would have got sick of the sight of him at this point.
And Fergus is saying as well, not every signing has to be a coup. Getting back up for the 2 most injury-prone players in our first choice starting 11 would have been the sensible move.
I mean, to be fair, some of the best signings we've made have been the more low-profile ones, like Gelhardt and Strauch and Meslier, all actually pretty cheap deals. All, I think, really good players, probably all worth, well, in Mellier's case, I don't even know what he's worth, 50 maybe? I'd be upset if we got accepted anything less than sort of 40 or 50 million for him. And again, Strauch and Gelhardt, you'd think they're both worth probably 15 to 20 now, wouldn't you? You'd be disappointed if they went for any less. So signing some of the low profile stuff has turned out pretty well for us, it seems like. But then I guess you sweep up a volume of those, don't you, over the years, and accept that half of them just end up getting released. It's
still difficult to understand what the 49ers do, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the context of the overall strategy, the finances and stuff, because Third Fish is in the comments saying Rads will sell after this season. His aim is to survive and then perhaps walk away. I do wonder if we get into next summer whether there's an appetite to repeat what we've done this time, talking about the Leicester model. In other words, just keep selling in order to reinvest. And I do see the sense in it up to a point. You've got to kind of trade your way up the leagues, but I think it's been tested a little bit as a model this summer, hasn't it? And mixed results.
Yeah,
or a mixed reception to it, rather.
I feel like the arrangement at the moment allows almost everyone to avoid accountability on it as well, because they can kind of go, well, we're doing this as a partnership and we all get on really well. It's like, well, hang on, who's responsible for putting money in? So, well, I will put some in if they do, because that's essentially has to be the arrangement at this stage, doesn't it? Otherwise, one of you is investing more than the other, essentially, which when you're owning shares is not a sound way of doing things. But it just feels like I don't know what the 49ers are doing. If they're not here to buy the whole thing, what are they doing? What is it? 44% they own now.
Yeah,
they've got to be buying it at some stage. You would think. I mean, hasn't Radrizzani just sold his company as well? Hasn't DAZN just bought that or are buying it?
It seems to be that DAZN might just be taking over it, and maybe no money is going to be changing hands.
How does that work?
But like he'll just hand over the shares in exchange for shares for DAZN or something like that.
Right. But they will have value.
Yeah, Lee Bushell is saying it seems as if they're building a purse for stadium expansion. I don't necessarily buy into that. I think obviously like getting the plans drawn up and stuff would come out of your general cash flow, but the stadium build will be done based on borrowing.
Yeah, it'll be a mortgage type thing.
Angus Kinnear obviously told us about that when he came in. I think you borrow and then you pay it off over 10, 20 years, whatever it might be.
Unless we go for another cheap job like with the East Stand when it costs like £4 million or whatever it ended up being.
I mean, if you want to keep your fees down, you could get Radrizzani's son to design the West Stand. Maybe have like a moat with sharks in it. Absolutely. Helicopter rocket pad on top.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. He could design the West Stand instead of professionals. I like the kit. Oh, dear me. I don't know. Kevin's delighted to find out that DAZN is pronounced DAZN. Yeah,
I was shocked to learn that as well. I always called it DAZN for ages. It's not how you spell DAZN. It's a bit like what you'll hear from Hutpers on a Chelsea fan channel that we decided was short for Hot Piss.
Yeah.
At one point, but yeah, they're based in Leeds, aren't they? Down by the White Rose Centre at DAZN.
Yes, they are. Yeah, next door to that.
I don't think that's the main headquarters, in fairness, but it's pretty big.
Who is it there as well? Boxed, I think, aren't they? In that neck of the woods.
No, they're Thorpe Park.
Oh,
we're just listing business addresses in Leeds.
Same city.
I bet Sky aren't doing this.
Jamie has just tweeted us, just saying it feels like the positive vibes have evaporated today. That's the problem with when Leeds get all Leedsy, isn't it? Because it has been a good start to the season.
Yeah, it has. It's exceeded expectations for me.
And we're doing absolutely fine. And I don't think we should get too upset about it. But it never feels like we just keep that momentum going, does it? Like there's always just a little twist in the tail like that, or several twists in the tail like there has been today. I
mean, in some future universe, Nonto is really good. Comes off the bench, scores against Brentford, looks brilliant. Looks every bit the £40 million we were about to pay for Gakpo. We then get Gakpo as well in January, and all is well.
Yeah. Jane, who's one of our American viewers, listeners, is asking what is DAZN. It's a streaming service, sports platform, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tends to do boxing and stuff like that. But they were supposed to be in for the Premier League rights at one stage, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, they do Premier League elsewhere, just not in Britain. You occasionally will come across them if you were naughty enough to look at illegal streams, I believe.
Which obviously we'd never.
I wouldn't do that.
Which we'd never do. Right, it's 11:30. I'm starting to think nothing's going to happen yet. There's still no way. Dan James, weird, isn't it? Where's Dan James?
Poor old Dan James. Do you think anyone's telling him?
Just no one's told him.
Just locked him in a room.
No one's been in touch.
We'll let you know when we know. All right.
Just referring to the Leicester model, actually. Brendan Rodgers quotes this evening, with the greatest respect, we have not had the help in the transfer market that this team has needed. He's gone full Scotty Parker there, hasn't he?
I think as well, the Leicester owners. This is where I suppose it might seem I'm kind of almost sometimes holding back on how badly this has gone and some of the failings of our owners, because all owners are shit unless they are just pouring money in endlessly. Owners are not good.
No.
And like because Leicester's owner, they were heroes, weren't they? Everyone loved him. Really good example of how to run a club. Done great stuff in the community. Bottom of the league, everyone's like, this is shit.
So ultimately,
the model's failed.
Always goes on football, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does. I know the Glazers have got an unusual model and do it that they pay themselves and everything. Loads of money's gone into Scum. I know they can point at infrastructure and stuff, but they spent a fortune on that team. But because they don't win, it's a problem. When the Glazers were the way they're under Ferguson, but they've kept winning stuff.
Yep.
And no one really gave a shit. There was a few of them went off and set up FC Scum, but most of them just continued going because they were still top of the Premier League, and it was fine then. But as soon as Ferguson left, he went tits up for him, and then they hated it.
Yeah.
So
spoilt children, not like us, thankfully. We don't want endless players, do we? We're good boys.
Well, that's the thing. We've been reduced to it as well because you just going buy a striker, buy a left back. It's like, well,
so we want just two.
Maybe we don't deserve them. We can't have nice things.
An update on the Nonto deal. It is Gianluca Di Marzio who is tweeting to say Italian talent and Nonto has done deal to LUFC from Zurich last minute. The FA's OK has just arrived. €4.5 million transfer fee plus add-ons and a future resale. Just converted that as 3.8 million quid.
I mean, that's pretty cheap, which is good.
Is it too cheap? Are we set our expectations? Are we better than pathetic low fees than that now?
What was he? Gakpo is 10 times better than him. Is what I'm going to say. I don't know. It seems a pretty a low risk transfer to me. Particularly, it's low risk if we're actually keeping Dan James as well.
Yeah. Just while we're corporate whoring ourselves off, Matt is asking if that is a square ball t-shirt.
This is
yes. The
little alien men that used to be on the scoreboard.
Yeah, you can't buy it at the minute because our web store is suspended at the moment.
Oh yeah, there is that. Forgot about that.
Yeah,
it's not we're having a problem with the supplier. We're just
unpicking that problem.
Yeah,
shall we say?
It's yeah.
But you will be able to buy it soon. Just keep checking back on the website and the web store and stuff. But yeah, it's nice, but you can't get your hands on it.
You can buy it
a
off
little
me.
bit like a bloody striker for Leeds United.
I'm willing to sell this for £20 if you're roughly the same size as me.
Should we wrap it up there then? Because I think we might have run out of things to say. We've been here for the best part of an hour now, and what's happened? We've got Nonto, sorry. I don't want to do a disservice to Willie Nonto.
Yeah.
So should we go off into that? Because we've got to record the start of the Phil Hay show again, and it's nearly tomorrow.
Are we doing that now?
I think we are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Phil's not coming in, though. He's still in York. We've got to Zoom him in.
Oh, okay.
Which you will notice, by the way, on the recording. So, thank you for joining us on this one. We'll turn it in now because it's 11:30, which is nearly my bedtime. And we've got Phil Hay show on the way tomorrow. That should be out probably within the hour or two. And weekly show, propaganda's on the way and stuff like that. So we'll see you over on that.
The Square Ball Podcast.